Welcome to the fourth session of the IREN Growthpad Virtual Food Festival. This is going to be a discussion, a very simple discussion on my story, the tales of two flames, and the discussion will be pinpointed on how food content creators have turned their passion for food into initiatives that can be monetized. And today we are joined by Sally Jepkorir, who is a PR and communications profession, who will be moderating this session. Sally?
Good afternoon once again, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Virtual Food Festival is actually one of a kind. We've never done this before. We've always had it physically. So, but because of the coronavirus, the crisis, we are now doing it virtually. Well, we won't be having any food tasting at the moment, but it will be a discussion, a good one, I believe. So the food and tourism industry is a very fun industry, but now, like I mentioned, faced with challenges posed by the COVID-19. But today we are here to discuss and gain insights from each and every one of us, come up with a way forward as much as content creation is concerned. So today I'm joined by the lovely Nourah Ocholla, who's a food blogger, digital content creator, and founder of Nourah's Cookhouse. I'm not sure if Elizabeth has joined, but she should be joining us as well. She's an upcoming food blogger and civil engineering student at the Technical University of Nairobi. So I'll take this opportunity to welcome, even before Nourah introduces herself, this year's IREN Growthpad Virtual Food Festival is Food Festival will feature different activities for sure, of which one would be, of course, we are featuring the experts in the industry who are talking about food, giving us their enlightenment. We will have master classes, we have Kamkunji classes, and we also have the recipe challenge, which is currently ongoing, as well as an exciting section, which is the food bloggers. So, but now I'd like to introduce Nourah to just introduce herself, and I welcome each and every one of you to be part of this afternoon session, and we hope to have an amazing afternoon. So on to our, so today we are going to discuss about the content blogging, the content creating. So it could include the bloggers, the vloggers, the influencers like Nourah and the likes. And maybe as we kick off, Nourah, maybe you'd like to tell us what's your story? How did you turn this into your passion and into, you know, a money generating avenue?
So like I said, I started at least 2 years ago.
Yes.
I think for me, when I was starting, it wasn't something that I was intending to monetize at the beginning. So when I started it because at the time when I was starting, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a career. So I remember I was talking to my sister and I was telling her, because I started in December 2018. So I was telling her, come January, I want something that will keep me busy for the year. And I was on my phone. I was actually on my gallery and I realized I had a lot of food photos on my phone. So I remember my sister saying I could be a food blogger if I wanted. So at that time, it wasn't something I was looking to pursue because I was trying to pursue other things as well. But come January, it's something that I now decided, you know what, it's something I could give it a try, because at that time I didn't know many food bloggers. So I remember I put up my first post on January and I got quite a number of engagement on that particular post. So I remember after that, I now started creating content, food content. So like I said, it's not something I was looking to monetize in the beginning, but as I was continuing, I realized it's something I could monetize by collaborating with other food bloggers. I could monetize by creating photos for brands, which I now do, but I wasn't doing it at the beginning. So I think a few months into it, I now went online to look up everything that I needed to know about content creation, about blogging, about monetizing your content. And then after a few months is when now I started monetizing my work. mainly through article writing, because at that time, because I'm also a food writer, so at that time I realized I could write articles about food, and then now I use that to now bring me into now collaborating with the brands that I have done with other food companies that I have worked with. So after that, I think from that is what now I still do. I still write articles about food. I still write articles about content creation. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, that's basically how I monetize my passion, writing articles and creating food content for different brands.
Wow. In fact, that brings me to the point which I was just about to ask you, because I was
Yeah,
going to ask you, how have you managed to stand, to stand out from the crowd? Because
yeah,
for sure, blogging and content creation is not easy, and
it's
getting
not.
a follower, even one, is very hard.
Mm,
So you've diversified, just not just blogging, but articles as well to go online and
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes. For me, I think the thing that has helped me a lot is because I have a background in digital marketing. Like you said, it's very difficult to grow online, especially when you're trying to grow on Instagram. Instagram is one of the most difficult platforms to get followership. So I think what has helped me a lot is if you want to do anything successfully online, you need to learn digital marketing, because it's good to know trends, it's good to know what people want to see, because that now helps you know what content to give out to the people on Instagram and other different platforms. So when you're, like I said, when you're trying to grow online, the easiest way you'd probably start is probably on other platforms before you came onto Instagram and YouTube, because then now you have laid for yourself a foundation, and you know you're giving out content that is valuable to people. And when you give value to people, they immediately just follow you on your different social media platforms. And I think I put a lot of value on my content. That's why I think I have at least over 4,000 followers on my Instagram. So when you give out content, people will immediately just resonate with your work, and it's how you grow.
And how have you managed to be, because you've been consistent, you are now at 4,000 followers, how have you been building your relations with the audience?
One way is to engage with them. You want to
Yes.
engage with your followers. You want to comment on their own posts. You want to follow people, because Instagram works. Instagram is a two-way thing. You don't wait for people to follow you. You have to follow people as well. So I think I've followed people to the limit on Instagram, to the limit.
Yes.
But so I have one way is to follow people. One way is to engage with other people's content, other bloggers' content. One way is to share other people's work. And then that's
Yes.
how now, as you share people's work, they share your work, and you all benefit from that. So
You
each of
build
you
each other.
sharing each other's work here gives you
Yeah.
get to be exposed to that person's audience, and they get to be exposed to your audience, and it's how you grow.
So with time, you're also developing your own style of course, selling your,
Yes,
pushing what you're pushing in terms of content
absolutely.
creation. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, and before we even proceed to our next question, I just want to assure everyone that we are open to all your questions. So you can do it we have the chat section, or you can raise your hands and we shall tackle your questions. So the other thing was the tools and resources, Nourah.
Yes.
What has it made it possible for you to do the content creation, in the food sector? Where did you start?
I think
Where did you
for
get the resources? How did you just wake up and you had, all the money to start and run the thing?
Yeah, I think for me, one thing is when I was starting, I ran my food blog is mainly it's I've realized a lot of my audience are people who want to try the things that I do on a budget. So everything
Yes.
that I post are things that people relate with. The daily skuma, the daily saucy, it's the things people relate with. So I have my niche is basically to help people who have a low budget but still want to enjoy the best. I think one of the things that I'm really proud of on my feed is the egg burritos that I did, where I showed people how to use leftover chapos to make something the next day, or leftover food to make something out of it. So when
Yeah,
it
I saw
comes to
that. I had
resources, you did,
engagement. Yeah,
thank you.
lots of engagements. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
when you are starting out, you don't want to start out and burn yourself financially. You want to start out with your financial capability. And that's what I did. I basically just use what I already have in the house and now try and make it in a way that people can resonate with. Like I've said, for example, chapos. I think in most households, chapos are the one thing that people still eat the next day. So now I get to show people how to eat your chapos the next day in a different way compared to the normal beans and the normal dengu. So that way I don't burn myself financially because I'm using what's already there instead of trying to make something that will make me use a lot of money for nothing. So now, like I said, when you're trying to grow yourself in terms of resources, you want to budget yourself every month. This is how much I want to use. And out of the money you have for, like, let's say we have 1,000 bob. Out of 1,000 bob, how many meals do you want to create for your feed?
Yeah.
So when you know, now I can make 5 meals from 1,000, now you capitalize on that and realize how many things can I buy under 1,000 bob and still make something out of it for my audience on whatever platform you're using.
In terms of content creation, I know you've been having challenges, especially right now with COVID-19.
Yes.
Have you tried to create the content in response to COVID-19? Are you like focusing on that, the challenges that we have, and maybe having content that talks specifically about what foods to eat during this period, what to avoid, the implications on your blog, as well as, I'm sure it has affected your income.
Yes, as I think when COVID hit Kenya, I think it affected us online people a lot because now we didn't get a lot of engagement that we'd get before. Because now another thing is, during this whole thing, a lot of people entered their own kitchens. It was that one time that everyone was trying to get something new to do, something fun to do. And a lot of people resorted to cooking. So I think it worked for us in the sense that we now got people who wanted to try out our recipes because they now have time to actually try the things that we show them. But on the downside, it affected us, especially those who are selling food. It affected them because now people are at home. So people don't need our services per se, because a lot of us also sell some of the food that we put online. So when it comes to income, yes, we were affected in that now people didn't need our services. But when it came to other things, like I got quite a number of more followers during the COVID time because of people wanting to learn new recipes, people wanting to try new recipes. And I think it's during this time that also I think a lot of us got time to reevaluate our feeds, reevaluate our content in regards to posting content that will help people in terms of what they can eat and I think this is something we've all been doing before. It's something that we've been teaching people from before. So we just continued with what we are doing.
Yeah, I can tell you for a fact, previously I would not do a lot of cooking myself, but since coronavirus, I've been in the house and trying out recipes. We get those recipes online, and it's a positive one. So I've learned a lot as well during this season. And I've seen a lot of bloggers, because I'm also in the hotel industry, and we are using the bloggers, your likes, to actually push the hotels and stuff like that, because it's really hard right now to have people in the hotel. People are still fearing to go out. People are scared, no one, there's no money. So we take the little money that we have, and we actually, push it to you guys. Yeah. So in terms of, I'm sure you've said you've had a lot of engagements during this COVID-19 period. And how was the income there, or people are still crying that, oh, there's Corona and there's no money?
Well, I think it depends with your audience. If you have an audience that was supporting even before Corona, they'll still continue. That's why, as a content creator, it's very important to make sure you're adding value to your audience. It's very important to know the kind of audience you have as well. So it's good to establish a relationship with your audience, in that when something like Corona happens, they're still with you and they're still supporting you whichever way they were supporting you before. In regards to resources, I think a lot of people, for me, I don't make money off my audience directly. I make money off third parties. Third parties are food companies, third parties are whoever, like I said in the beginning, I write articles. So for me, that didn't change. I still write articles. I still get paid to write the articles that I write. So for me, in terms of resources, nothing has quite changed.
Because I know things have changed. With the COVID-19, you are no longer doing things the way you are doing. What are the new introductions in your everyday work, content creation? And what can you tell the people in terms of how to give an experience? Because as much as things are virtual, people need to see something that is exciting. You know, that is coming to replace now the way we used to do things before.
Yeah, I think if anything, during the corona, I think a lot of people became more active online. So I think as a content creator, you must know, like I said, you must follow trends. And Instagram recently introduced Reels. Reels are a TikTok version for Instagram. So one way a content creator, for someone who's a food blogger like me, one way you can up your game during this time and going forward, because it's something that is here to stay. Now people are learning to do everything online. So one way someone can up their game, up their content, is by following trends. If you were creating pictures before, now is the time you'd want to change and switch it up to things like videos, things like hacks. 5-minute hacks are things people enjoy seeing. So if you can put 5-minute hacks of different foods, of different ways to do your breakfast, of different ways to do your lunch, and then put it on your Reels, because Instagram uses Reels to push your content even further than your audience. So if you can use that to get to a place where now you're now sending out video instead of photos, or if you are doing videos, you want to move to YouTube or you want to move to different platforms, that's the best way to keep it going, because people appreciate videos more than photos. So if you can do videos that people relate with, you're already making it in terms of what your audience want to see, what people generally just want to see online.
So in short, you are just spicing it up, your channels.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and we now have Elizabeth, who's unmute. Elizabeth, allow me to welcome you to this session. We had missed you as we introduced ourselves. My name is Sally Jepkorir in the PR and communication industry. And welcome to IREN Growthpad, Virtual Food Festival, where we are, discussing and reimagining tourism and food experience in Kenya.
Thank
audience,
you.
As I mentioned, Elizabeth is our upcoming food blogger and civil engineering student at the Technical University of Nairobi. Please, the floor is yours. Use yourself, tell us where you started, how you made it, in the content creation industry, and what you have for us today.
As you said, my name is Elizabeth, and I am a student in my 4th year of studies. So when the president ordered for the learning institutions to be closed, I found that I had a lot of time in my hands. And I learned that my passion for cooking, the falls, started becoming greater and greater. And I found myself watching Food Network a lot, most of the time. Out of all the channels, that is the channel I watched the most. So I really loved what I was seeing, and I said, I can do this myself. And I decided to open an Instagram page and call it at Joy in the Kitchen. Joy is also my other name, which I've called at home. And that is the name that many people relate to, when most of the people relate to with me. So I started filming with the help of my sister, is the one who filmed as I do the videos, and I edit and I posted it on my Instagram page and my WhatsApp status. So when people liked it, my friends liked them, and there was a person who DM'd me, a friend of mine, and asked if they could buy what I was making. And I was actually surprised and said, I can sell this actually. And I started selling snacks to my close friends and people around me.
That's amazing, Elizabeth. And what are some of the challenges that you faced? Because I know you are new in the industry and you are trying, to catch up with the rest. What are some of the challenges that you've had during this period?
The challenges that I've had, like my target audience, I really can't get to a lot of people at this moment. I still have few followers. So getting followers is a challenge. I only ask my friends to tell their friends, yes. And also in
Exactly.
terms
Word of
of
mouth.
equipment, filming equipment, yes, it's still a challenge together. I only use what I have. Yes.
Yeah, because that is what the other thing that we were discussing together with Nourah in terms of what are the resources and what are the tools you're using as you do your daily content creation. So that has been the part of the challenge, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So as we move on, Nourah, maybe if you can hear me, there's not Nourah, I mean Elizabeth, because I was asking Nourah, what are some of the new introductions that she's been doing since, because when COVID came, it changed how people do things. And she was mentioning the introduction of the reels and, you know, other fun stuff, doing videos as opposed to pictures. I don't know how you've managed to maneuver.
Since I'm only starting out, I'm also learning as I go. And I've been doing short videos because people don't want to watch long videos. So I only do short videos and post them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've said you've started selling and, you know, doing deliveries.
Yes, I do deliveries around within the place where I live, because it's been also a challenge delivering to far areas. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, Nourah, there's I wanted to ask about something. There's the issue of influencers, because you see, you start as content creators, you do your blogs, and then later you have huge following, and you start being, you know, an influencer that a big brand can use you to, you know, to push their brand and to push their products. And I was reading today I think one of the UK online platforms, they had the influencers were being paid to push for a university that they were not even studying in that university. What's your take on that? Because I think the influencer culture is also changing. Would you, you know, I've seen people doing advertisement of some products that might be harmful, or they have side effects, but because they are being paid, overlook, you know, that because you're getting money. Or what do we do in this kind of influencer culture?
Yeah, I think if you want to be an influencer, the first thing you want to do is to be able to know how far you can go for money, how far you can do things just to get money. So when you're on the road to being an influencer, it's very important to establish who you want to work with in the future, so that now guides you on how far you can go when working with a brand, or how far you can go with allowing yourself to be used to do something. Like you've said, people have marketed things that they don't use. People have marketed things that they've never even used, but they'll come online and tell you it was the best thing I've ever used, it's the best school I've ever gone to, it's all that. But it all boils down to you as a person. It all boils down to your integrity as a person. For example, I wouldn't come and tell someone to try something that I have not used, mainly because it's who I am. So even when someone comes and tells me, I'll give you 500 Gs to do this or to do that, you'd be able to be in a place where you're saying no. So you must know you will get to where you want to be. Like as Elizabeth has said, she's trying to grow her account. As she's growing her account, she should know, how far do I want to go to? Because people also, the thing with influencers is some of them also buy followers. So you look at them and think they have a lot of followers, when in reality, majority of them are bought. So you want to grow your account organically. When you grow your account organically, you're able to say no to certain things, opposed to when you just get any random request to send out something and you agree. So if as an upcoming influencer, I'd say, I know how far I want to go when it comes to doing brand deals. I know how far I want to go when it comes to working with people outside my niche. That way, I keep myself consistent, and I keep myself in that place where the people who follow me can trust me when I tell them this and this is a good product, or it's not a good product. That's why I keep saying, familiarize yourself with your audience. That way, that way you build a bond with them. That way you build a trust between you two. So if I want to push a brand, I am genuinely pushing a brand that I actually like, that I actually resonate with, that I actually can use and can suggest to the people who are following me.
Is that the case? Because what about brand loyalty? Because I've seen people, for example, if I'm using, let's say, Nourah to push IREN or a competitor, and the next day she's at the competitor doing the same stuff. What's your take on that? Yeah, because I've seen for a fact people hopping from brand to brand because of the money. So you see, I'm offering you some thousands of money today, Nourah, and the next day someone else who's doing the same thing as we are is offering me more money. Remember, right now people do not have money. You know, most people are struggling. People are at home. What happens in that case?
In such a case, now we'd bring in the business perspective of it all, where if you as a company want to work with an influencer, you should be able to be in a place where you have a written contract with the influencer that says you cannot work with anyone else during the time period that we have employed you, or we have you in pushing our brand. So for example, I work with IREN. We come into a 6-month agreement that I will be pushing your brand for the next 6 months. After that, I'm now at liberty to push whichever brand that I may want, even if they're your rival. So the thing with a lot of influencers is we don't get into written contracts with the people we want to work with. That's why a lot of times it's the business that gets hurt, because we did not sign anything. So I'm at liberty to go to whichever brand or to do with whatever gives me more money, because we don't have a written contract between me and you. So as a brand, I would say when a brand wants to work with an influencer, let them get into a written agreement with them that this is this is the period of time we want to work with you. And during this time, you cannot work with other brands. So that way, even the influencer knows I cannot work with other brands because I can be sued for for not adhering to the contract that we signed. Yes.
So, and now looking at the food, looking at the food industry, specifically the kind of food or the kind of content that you put across, we don't see so much of the, we actually trying to push the indigenous food as well. We don't see so much of the indigenous food being featured on these blogs or the vlogs and stuff. Yeah, what can we do to push that, to make it top of mind? Because people, most of the time, people are doing, these other kind of foods, you know, the international foods, but we don't see so much of the indigenous food. And if you see the consumers in Kenya, most of them do the indigenous food. But funny enough, no one is, if you see, in fact, how many blogs are talking about the indigenous food, like that comes quickly to your mind.
Yeah, I think, and that's true. A lot of us don't post a lot of indigenous food, mainly because a lot of us use our own money to run our blogs. So when, for example, we say, if IREN, for example, decides we want to sponsor at least 5 bloggers to push this thing, it will be easier, because then now we are being sponsored to figure out the different indigenous foods in Kenya. Because if I want to learn about an indigenous food, I have to go to a place like Kisumu or Murang'a, or to figure out what they eat, because I know there are no KFCs and all of that in Murang'a. I may be wrong, but I don't think there are. So if we are to push this one, a lot of us we are young people. We don't know what indigenous foods we have in our own communities. So I think if it's something that is to be pushed, it has to have sponsors behind it. It has to have people who are behind it, sponsoring us to go and figure out what are the indigenous foods in Kenya. What are people eating deep huko in Ushago, rather than for people to wait. Because like I said, when you're starting out, you need to figure out your audience. Who are your audience? Are our audience people who want to see indigenous foods? Are our audience people who want to know how to make pizza? So when you establish what your audience wants to see, then you know the direction you want to go. So when we are brought into projects like IREN, where we are being asked to figure out indigenous foods, we must be sponsored to do some of those things, right?
But does that mean that if for your indigenous food, the Kenyan food, that means you state brand, But if we await on the sponsors, yeah, because I am sure you have some indigenous food in your culture, which you can easily do it on your channel for sure, and then target maybe the locals, and you can do deliveries. I'm sure people would appreciate that. We have international tourists coming over. Funny enough, we have other, we have Ethiopian cuisine, we have China food and joints in Kenya, but we don't have so much of the Kenyan cuisine, apart from, I don't know, Maoliech and where.
Yeah, I think now that is something that will be thrown over to the caterers opposed to the bloggers, because we basically just show people what they want to see, right? So when we, for example, like someone like Elizabeth will be in a much better position in terms of saying, this is what I want to sell, because she's now in the catering industry. So she knows what the people she sells to want to eat, but we do have quite a number of restaurants that focus on the Kenyan cuisine. Yeah, I think we are more into the Western kind of food. So you'd find us at places like Burger King, like KFC, like places that we want to eat junk food, opposed to eating mokimo and mdokoi and all of that. So now when you try and venture into a place, into something that isn't consumed by a lot of people, you go at a loss, because now who are you targeting when everyone prefers to go the KFC way, when everyone prefers to go the Nyama Mama way? Nyama Mama is also a very good place for those who want to experience the Kenyan cuisine.
True, yeah. In fact, now that you mentioned, I don't know what Elizabeth is selling actually. I don't know what are your contents in terms of what do you cook? Do you have indigenous food, or maybe you should help us now in pushing it and growing the Kenyan cuisine?
I have not done indigenous food yet, because people want new things, and when they see new things, they want to try it out, as opposed to what they already know, what they are constantly eating. They want to try out new things. So every time I sell hash browns, they're excited to see, oh, what's that? I want to taste that. Yeah, when you bring out new things, they want to taste new things.
New introductions, it gets people wanting, yeah. So now that time is really moving fast, I needed to know, what are some of the suggestions that you have, to the young people? Are there any opportunities in the food industry? Maybe we can start with Nourah. What can you tell those who are venturing platform?
There are many opportunities. I think when we talk about the food industry, people just think of catering and becoming a chef, but we have farm producers, we have food processors. Chibundiro is part of food processing in Kenya. We have Chef Rubia, who is an all-rounded person in the food industry. So if someone wants to get into the food industry, all they need to do is identify what exactly they want to do. Do they want to be a food farmer? Do they want to be a food blogger like me? Do they want to be a caterer like Elizabeth? Once they figure out which route they want to go on, I think then now you start looking for people who are already there to help you get where you want to be in the future as a young person.
Good. Yeah. Yes. And Elizabeth, what would you tell those who want to try out and start like the way you started and now you're moving on swiftly?
I would like to tell them that opportunities are there. You just have to stick to your passion and what you love. Don't do something because you're seeing someone else doing it, but you don't have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you won't make it to the end. You won't be able to suppress all those challenges that are there.
Yeah.
So, and would you, what about optimizing on ads, Nourah? How is it in
ads,
your,
I think,
in your section? Yeah.
Yeah, on ads, I think Instagram and Facebook have made it very, making ads very affordable. It's something you can do by yourself. They go for as low as 500. So if you want to place an ad on Instagram, which I'd advise, if anyone wants to do anything online, the best platforms I'd advise would be Instagram and YouTube. So when you want to place an ad on Instagram is the one place. Now they give you, what is it called? They give you analytics of how many people it will get to. So for example, if you pay 3,000, they'll tell you this ad will get to this many, the number of people that you'll be seeing that will see your, your ad. So when you want to capitalize on ads, Facebook and Instagram will be the best places compared to, a lot of us still have the old way of thinking we need to go on TV and we need to put it on radio. When, like I said earlier, everything has moved online. So when you want to place an ad online, Facebook and Instagram are the most what is it called? Are the most amazing places to put an ad out there. So people that way, and when you're putting an ad as a food blogger, you want to put it in a way that people can resonate. Instead of having to put a video as an ad, put up a picture as an ad. Instead of having to put, if you've been putting pictures before, now you want to try something new and put a video instead. And when you're putting the video and when you're putting the ad, you want to write a caption in such a way that people will want to know what you do, people will want to follow you for what you do, and you want to put also whatever it is, whatever information you have and whatever information you want to pass it in a way that everyone will see and everyone will know the message you are trying to put across.
Now that you've mentioned, in fact, you've mentioned that Instagram and Facebook as the best platforms, to do an ads, which I agree. And now that people are moving away from pictures, people are really moving into videos because they are catchy, they are engaging, and people are now pushing it through their YouTube channels. Now the question is, you see, for YouTube, you cannot do ads, you cannot do promotions because it's against the policies. How would you do it so that you stand out and you gain, as much as it's organic followers? How do you go about it? Because YouTube is another very hard to get subscribers. You struggle a lot. And yet you cannot do the promotion. And actually, if you are seen, you can actually tell people just follow us maybe on Twitter, on Facebook, but you cannot do maybe an activity like giving away prizes. That's because, again, that's what? That you are breaking the YouTube rules. How do you go about doing that? Because Instagram might not be sufficient for videos.
I always say this on my IG stories. When you're starting out on a platform like YouTube, you want to establish yourself on other platforms first. You want to have an audience on Facebook and on Instagram before you venture into YouTube, or only you and your parents and your siblings will be watching your videos on YouTube. So you want to first build an audience on Instagram, on Facebook, before you now move to YouTube. So one way, if you're looking to be a YouTuber, you want to post more of your videos on Instagram. And then as you continue and as people get to know you, you then now move to YouTube instead of just moving to YouTube when you don't have an audience on other platforms. So build an audience first on other platforms first, and then now move to YouTube. Like you said, YouTube does not give you the chance to ask people to follow you, to do this. So now promote yourself on Instagram, promote yourself on Facebook, promote yourself on LinkedIn, promote yourself on Snapchat. Then the audience that you have built on all these platforms, now ask them to move with you to YouTube, and then now you have instant subscribers because they already know you, so they now just follow you to a different platform.
That makes lots of sense, Nourah. I don't know for Elizabeth if you've tried any, advertising for as little even as 100 shillings. I don't know how you've been, pushing for your content and pushing for your business, your upcoming, the new business that you have.
I have been pushing for my business on Instagram and on my WhatsApp and also on Facebook.
Good. So as we move on, I have a question from Esperance on the chats. I'll direct this to Nourah. She's asking, what advice can you give on the frequency of posting content out to grow your audience? I understand sometimes we want to push a lot. We are on Twitter 24/7, but I know some people get tired of so many posts. How do we manage this?
I think this is one question that I get a lot from people who ask me, when you're starting out, you want to post a maximum of 3 times per week. That way, and I usually tell the people who ask me, that is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That now helps people now start to, because the more you post, the more people start to relate with you. So you want to post at least 3 times a week, at least once a day. You can do it twice a day, but you want to do it at least once a day, 3 times a week. And then that way, as you grow, now you can limit it to twice a week or once a week.
What about for the big corporates, for example, Nourah? Let's say IREN, and we have maybe so many things to post, and you can post up to 10 posts a day on Twitter in one platform. What's your take on that? And do you think it's the brilliant way to go? Or
for a corporate, you can post every day. It's just now that you want to post in a way that gives people time to see the different posts you have going on. So you can have at least 4 posts in a day, every day. That way people get to know the different things that are going on in IREN, the different things, the different activities and the projects that you have. So 4 times or 5 times a week with 4 posts each day is enough, because you don't want to bombard people with your content, because the more we see one content, we want to unfollow you, because we want to see other people and not just IREN. So you put it in a way that people will still appreciate your content as often as you put it out.
Yeah, and still on that, Nourah, I have another question from Wilson Balongo, and we appreciate your participants today, Wilson. So he's asking, how do you use your blogs to reimagine supply chains in the food industry?
To what?
How do you use your blogs? Yeah, how do you use your blogs to reimagine supply chains in the food industry? That would be now from the mama mbogas to your consumers, because it's a whole supply chain.
So for me personally, I work directly with, when I need, it depends with what I need, but most times I'd work directly with farmers because they have the fresh produce that I need. I'd work directly with mama mboga because now she knows where to get me some of the things I need. So when it comes to the supply chain, I think for food bloggers, it starts at a lot of us start with mama mboga. It's mama mboga that we go to. It's mama mboga that we use to get the things we have. So it's not such a huge supply chain for us, because we are our niche is just food. There's no different things to this, just food. So for us, it's mama mboga to us who are giving out, or to the farmer. It is the farmer, mama mboga, and then us. And then that way now, because we have a close-knit relationship with the mama mboga, or we have a close-knit relationship with the farmer, it's how our supply chain usually just goes. It's two-way. It's two-way, really.
Yeah. And the other question maybe to Elizabeth is, how can we use the food blogs to now stimulate the economy?
Sorry?
How can we use the food blogs to stimulate the economy, to push our economy forward?
I would like to say that when you post different kinds of videos, and people watch your videos and they like to try the kind of foods that you cook, they will go to the market and start shopping. Yeah.
So as we move on, I think we have a few minutes to go. So I've picked up a few things here, a few points where we've been. So there's Nourah mentioned that you have to support your audience in terms of what kind of content are you going to give them and what they are expecting from you. We have, you need to support each other as content creators, because to move forward, for sure, you need each other. Yeah, the other thing I've picked up is let's grow the Kenyan cuisine. I know most of us do not venture into the Kenyan cuisine, but which we should relook and do that. The indigenous food together, by pushing it, you make it top of mind in terms of what people can order, because you can do that happen. We also have, we need to, in fact, this one, I had a question about this, that we need to look at a bigger picture. By looking at a bigger picture is how do you push your, how do you have enough money coming in, through through your blogs, through your platform. At the same time, sometimes someone might offer you so little and want you to push for them, but then on the other side, you want to look at the bigger picture and go for the bigger fish. How do you choose, Nourah?
I think it's something that happens a lot where brands come to us and tell us they'll pay us with exposure. I think exposure is such a wide topic when it comes to content creators, because a lot of brands come to us and want to share our work, but don't want to pay us for our work. So when it comes to deciding who you want to work with, if they're not paying you money, I think, and you're already, when you're upcoming, it's okay for a company to tell you, we'll give you the exposure you need. You need the exposure as a young person, as a young upcoming person, because you can't expect to be paid when people still don't know you. So the exposure helps when you're still starting out. But when you're established, if brands want to work with influencers, they have to pay the money. They have to give us the money that we are asking of them, because pushing something is very difficult. Creating content is very difficult, not easy. So when a brand comes and tells me they'll give me 2K to push their brand to my 5,000 followers, it does not make sense. It doesn't, because we look at it from the perspective of, we will push your brand, you'll get a lot of money, but you're only giving us 2,000. So we don't benefit. You benefit, but we don't benefit. So brands that are looking to work with influencers should be able to also have a marketing budget when they want to bring in influencers on board. That way you meet each other halfway, instead of the brand expecting you to do all the work for them, to do all the digital marketing work for them, and then they only give you 2K because it's what they want to assume, they want to make you think they can afford.
Yeah. So in fact, Wilson Balongo has also added that he is encouraging you, both you and Elizabeth, to build your brands and having a unique theme, e.g. indigenous food, which has not been exploited, which is a brilliant idea, because I don't think so many people have exploited. In fact, if I think of the food bloggers, I don't see people who do indigenous foods. And as you mentioned, I think even for the upcoming ones like Elizabeth, they should consider even taking small amount of money, because they want to establish themselves in the industry. And now we will be doing our final parting shots from each of you. But in the meantime, I would like to ask if there's anyone with a burning question from the participants.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Wilson. Welcome to our afternoon session, and thank you for being part of us since this morning.
Yeah, I've been closely following the presentation by Nourah and Elizabeth, which is very encouraging, especially from the youth.
Yes.
Just to add on what I've said, at the time Nourah talked of indigenous food stocking, or rather, you said that you need to be sponsored. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. As an innovator, I would encourage that move from relying on charity, build a brand, and don't think that people don't like indigenous foods. Actually, majority of the people like the indigenous food. It's only that people have not presented it to them. I'll give you an example. The first manager for butter shoe company was sent to Africa during the colonial period. So when he came to Africa, the report he took back to his bosses was that in Africa, people don't put on shoes, and therefore there's no market. The guy was fired. Why? He was told that is the market. We are looking for people who don't put on shoes so that they can buy shoes.
Thank you so much, Wilson.
Yeah, can I just answer him?
Yes.
So I think I agree with a lot of what he has said. I think what people don't realize is we are content creators. These things are money. It's not free. Every time we put up a post, we have used our money, we have used money to make content online. Indigenous foods it's a good idea, but like I said,
with the internet connection.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Nourah is
Hello?
actually answering you. Can you hear us, Wilson?
Hello?
Hello, Wilson. So Nourah, maybe you can proceed.
Yes, as I was saying, as a content creator, you need to know what exactly you want to do. You cannot venture into something because it's what's there. You venture into what people want to see. So as well, you must on and as we are using who you feel it wants to venture into indigenous foods and it wants to bring in influencers. That is what we call sponsored, where sponsored is not exactly that we are relying on the money of whatever. We are basically asking you who is wanting to know about indigenous food. If NTV came to me and said, we want to know about indigenous food, it is up to them now to provide for us whatever we will need to get the indigenous food out there. Pushing something is not easy. Pushing something is not free. So when someone says we mustn't rely on charity, truth is we have to use money back and give out the indigenous food that people want to see.
Yeah, that's clear, Nourah. And I see Purity Commander says she agrees that the indigenous foods is an untapped area, which we all agree. And Nourah, Elizabeth may want to consider incorporating into their content. So you now have, more content for your creation, Nourah and Elizabeth. So as we wind up, if you still have any question, feel free to raise your hand. Ensure you follow Nourah. Her account is Nourah. What did you say your account is? At Nourah
Nourah's Cookhouse.
At Nourah's Cookhouse.
Cookhouse.
Nourah's Cookhouse. Yes. Yeah, follow them and promote them. And Elizabeth is Joy's Cook in the Kitchen. Is that correct?
Joy in the Kitchen.
Joy, and follow Joy in the Kitchen as well. Push for them. So maybe let's have our final words. Nourah, give us your final word. Elizabeth, give us your final word, and we will call it an afternoon.
So I think what I'd say is to any young person who wants to venture into food blogging, I think there is opportunity for everyone. There is a lot you can do. There is a lot of things you can bring in that's not there. You can still do what's there and you'll still succeed. So if it's something you really want to do, and to someone like Elizabeth who's growing her platform of followers, I think what I'd advise them is place a lot of value in what you do. Give out the best content you can think of. However, it might not be the best things out there, but do your best to give out what you can with whatever you can, and just place it out there and leave it to the people who now are interested in what you're trying to bring out. If it is food you're trying to venture into, put what you can afford. That way you are able to be consistent with whatever you're putting out there. And then it's consistency that helps you build yourself online. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nourah. Elizabeth, a word from you.
What I would like to say is that the market is too big to accommodate everyone. Competition is there, yes, but you have to be unique, you be different, and you be true to yourself.
Competition is real, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at this juncture, I don't know if James Shikwati has a word.
It's well done. I think super contributions from Nourah and Elizabeth. And I think as IREN, I'm seeing a very big opportunity here. And again, based on the earlier presentation where we had some very good suggestions about policy innovation, what government needs to do also to activate people such as Nourah and Elizabeth so that they can be international actors. I mean, you notice it needs a lot of collaboration. So they have already shown they are innovators in a way, that will be Wilson's word. They're entrepreneurs in a way, that will be IREN's word. But we also learned early this morning that there's the aspect of policy innovation, where if what we do also can be anchored in such a way that the government recognizes and supports this kind of initiative. So I really thank the two panelists, and it's my hope that we stay in touch and make this initiative even more bigger. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. And at this point, I want to sincerely thank our speakers and thank all our participants. We've had so much insights this afternoon, and there's so much, digital space and opportunities for the youth. Let's not all give up, because we know that there's always, light at the end of the tunnel. I'll be sure to follow you, Nourah and Elizabeth, and I want to engage with you very soon, actually, in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. This was enlightening.